Welcome to another episode of the Fitish Podcast. Here with my baby daddy, Francisco. Welcome.
Hola.
The talent has arrived. You should see. I wish we kind of had recorded leading into how we start the podcast some days because my team and I, my girls are sitting up here. We record at the Fitish headquarters. And so I've been here for a little bit this morning. I mean, I've been coming in later than normal with the baby stuff at home, but we joke that, time management isn't your best quality. And
Ours.
Ours. I'm on top of my shit. I don't know what you're talking about. I'm here. I'm ready. We joke, though, that he rolls in Starbucks on his phone 10 minutes after we were supposed to start the podcast. And we're like, oh, the talent has arrived.
It's called fashionably late.
But how do you think our producer, Garrett, feels sitting here waiting set up? And I have a meeting. I have a meeting in like 30 minutes that now it's going to be 30 minutes late.
Yeah, babe,
What?
I need to be inspired.
It'd be great if you were like, I've been at home taking care of our child, but you haven't been doing that either. Or if I got
here and the Starbucks is already here, my egg bites are already
So you're
here.
late because you went to get Starbucks and didn't get anyone here anything.
Babe, I called you didn't answer.
I said to him, it's not like we just met and you don't know what I might have liked.
You're very spontaneous on what you like. Sometimes you like eggs. Sometimes you like a muffin. Sometimes you don't like anything. So I went for the third one.
I wish you could get it all. Yeah, I wish that was an option.
It could have been.
Yeah. So things are going well for us, clearly.
Yeah.
We're getting along great. No, we're getting along well. You just frustrate me when you're late and I'm ready and I'm like, let's go because this is work and it's serious. But yeah. I've learned by now, people don't change. People don't change. Men don't change. You want them to change. They're not going to change.
It's good if you go with that premise because when they change, they'll surprise you if they change.
Well, actually, okay, hold up. They do change because today I'm going to make, and I'm going to use that word because he's already expressed that he's not in the right headspace to tell this story, but I'm going to have him tell it anyway because y'all have asked. And it shows that some men do change because Francisco at one point in his life was on a journey. And I found this very fascinating when we first started dating because when he told me this, I had those red flags, girls, when you're on a date and you're just like, they say something and like the whole that I thought you ate dog.
Your red flags are very fainted.
It was bad. Yeah, I agree. If you've seen my exes, it was bad. My red flags did not point me in the right direction. But you said...
At some point, I thought you were colorblind.
Yeah. You said something to me, not the I eat dog, and I thought for a while you eat dog, but it was duck story. But you said something to me that one time that made me go... Oh man, it might have been in the same date that you pulled out that glitter wallet. So it was this like a whole combination of things that I went back. The glitter wallet was a red flag, but then what you told me that you're going to tell today was a super red flag for many reasons, but also a thoroughly fascinating story. Fran was on a spiritual journey that led him to the streets of Rome, and he was going to become a priest. And we're going to get into that later in the show a little bit. We're going to talk about it because I'm sure you'll have a lot of questions after that. And I find it really fascinating. And everyone, from our own close friends, family members, everyone wants to know this story. So think about what you'd like to share. And I find it very interesting, because you're still a spiritual person, but you went from being, very religious to, and we don't have to get into the real belief system of it all, but I'm so fascinated to hear you again tell me the story about your journey. It's very interesting. So because right now we're on a parenthood journey, and when we came into the office today and I was telling my team that I was like, I want Francisco to share his story on the podcast today about his journey to the priesthood, his failed journey to the priesthood. Victoria, who works for me, goes, Francisco's going to become a priest. She looked at me thinking it was like a current decision. And I was like, yes.
It was either that or saying that I'm gay just to snap out of the family.
Having a family has made him realize that he wants to be a priest. So that's where we're at. Oh, yeah. Poor thing. She was like, oh, Jenna. I was like, no, it's all right. This happened.
Oh, Jenna.
Yeah. So no, we'll get into that in a little bit. But parenting's been going good. Remy has smiled, and I think Fran and I are getting the hang of it. So I say to all women, who some are uncomfortably pregnant or just had a baby, I wish I had known that those first 2 weeks I was going to feel like a lot, almost regret or, oh my gosh, I'm not going to be able to handle this. What was I thinking? My business is going to go bankrupt. I'm not going to be able to survive having a child. I was so freaked. And now We're at almost 7 weeks, and I think things have improved.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Don't you think?
Absolutely. I think, well, I've been enjoying every second of it. Like, I'm pretty sure I sound very annoying to everybody that asks me. And I'm pretty sure I sound very annoying because, like, we have so much help. But my experience as a father has been nothing but joyful. Like, even when you have to wake up in the middle of the night, or even when you don't sleep, because there's been times that you don't sleep.
That's funny, you waking up in the middle of the night.
When I have to pump and shit like that.
I'm gonna fucking kill him. When you get mastitis, like I got this weekend, and it finally hit me, and I could like barely move my left tit.
I'm pretty sure blue balls and mastitis that they hurt almost the same. So, so we are in the same.
You've probably been dealing with a lot of that lately
I've been
too.
dealing with some of that.
Well, that's self-induced.
Yeah, well, it's not self-induced.
Yeah, you should finish that job.
Yeah.
Why would you do that to yourself?
But sometimes you have to understand, like, that's not enough.
So Fran and I finally got cleared to have sex. Like I went to that 6-week appointment. They wouldn't let him back because, it's like a full exam up there. And I don't know what I was thinking. I just kind of assumed.
I just don't get why they didn't let me in. Like, I have seen you inside and out.
I know the nurse is like, they don't get to come inside this postpartum exam because they're all up in there. And I'm like,
nor come inside at all.
He's seen all of my insides. That was a good one. I had my exam, and it's like the quickest thing ever. Women definitely don't get enough attention postpartum. Like, I think that we need more attention than we even do. They see you every week or more in your pregnancy towards the end, and then all of a sudden you go to like 2 appointments after, and they're like, "You're good. What are you gonna do for birth control?" That's kind of how it goes. Like, and I was like, I don't know, like, what do you recommend? Because you do have to consider that. But then you have to consider, like, how ready are you to even have sex? And I thought I was ready. And so Fran and I, his mom said, y'all need to go on a date. So we went to dinner on Friday night at 5:00 to a sushi restaurant, that we hadn't been to in a while. We didn't even really eat much sushi. So we went at 5:00. I ordered a glass of wine. We thought it'd be really nice to go. And honestly, like, I just didn't feel great. There was just something with me going on. Like, I felt real clammy, almost like I was kind of getting the flu. And it kind of dawned on me. I was like, oh my gosh, I'm getting the dreaded mastitis because my left boob hurt real bad. And I thought maybe Remy had just kind of punched it, or, your boobs, any woman knows like that has tried to breastfeed and pump, your boobs just hurt kind of all the time. It's not a pleasant thing. And, but anyway, it was bad. So we ate, and I was like, can we go home? And I had gotten cleared at the doctor. And so it was like, it's going to be a day. We're going to go home, have sex. Like a few days later, still hadn't had sex.
So I thought that when the guy asked what's gonna be your method of birth control, you went to like, oh, it's gonna be abstinence.
So, hey, you know something about that? We'll talk about. Well, maybe that's why you didn't make it very far. Anyway, so no, I had mastitis. So of course, like, romantic date night ends with me going home, calling my doctor, feeling like I'm starting to get a fever and my boob hurts really bad. She's like, I have a rash on my boob. Like, oh yeah, you have mastitis. You need to take antibiotics. So yeah, needless to say, we watched like 5 minutes of an Old House episode and went to sleep. It was a very romantic date night. But yeah, it's tough. That part's tough. But I think these moments where you see him, smiling now, like he's intentionally smiling, and he got really jealous. I'm not that jealous. Like, if he smiled for you, I'd be excited because I know he's going to do it again. I sent Fran a picture of how he smiled for me, and he was gummy smiling big time intentionally, and Fran was jealous. He was mad that he wasn't there.
I told him, like, that was our thing. When he smiled, and like, we're gonna keep this smiling only for Daddy. And it's like, he goes and smiles for you, he's just a little whore.
You have to let me have these wins, because whether it's the mastitis or now my milk supply's gone down and I'm really kind of depressed about it. So I'm committing to trying to get that back up, or I'm not going to be able to keep breastfeeding. He's mad. And I realize my kid's been kind of mad and hungry because he gets on my boob and he goes, at one point, and he's not getting enough milk. That's what he's doing. I thought he just needed to burp, but he's like, like he can't get any more milk out.
I can see it just like going like a prune.
Let me have these wins of smiling because of everything I have to put up with. It's so hard. And I was scrolling on Instagram too, because I can sometimes like one hand on Instagram when he's eating off of me, and and I saw an ad for Ritual has all these really cool postpartum supplements. And, they've been a sponsor of the Fitish podcast now for over a year. And I get so excited, if you're not pregnant, it doesn't excite you as much because we've talked about all of their essentials for men and women, which is great because that's you take a couple of those, once a day, you're done, you're covered with all the nutrients that you need. And so I have the women 18 plus multivitamin, and you've taken the men before. And I've always said, I like the Ritual the best. And I tried all sorts of prenatal. I've tried everything, and no other vitamin tastes as good as this one. I'd actually venture to say like Ritual vitamins taste good. It's the prenatal one, at least, was coated in this like lemon. And so you just kind of have a lemony taste when you take it. And I don't know like what's wrong with all the other vitamins, and some people just don't seem to mind it, but I cannot stomach a vitamin that makes me that leaves this like awful taste in my mouth when I swallow it. It just makes it very hard for me to take. And so that's just a very simple thing that I love about Ritual. I've also noticed that other supplements, and I think people can speak to this, that sometimes over time they can kind of make your stomach sick. And I've never had an issue with Ritual. And it's probably because they're formulating this in such a nice way, right? They're using these traceable vegan friendly ingredients, no shady stuff. They are committed to third-party testing. So there's just not junk in there, right? Like you can literally see through these vitamins, and they're wonderful. But yeah, I came across, they have some postpartum other supplements out there now too. So they have great
love
products.
them. And the highlight is that aftertaste, like the aftertaste of most of the other vitamins, or those that you keep like, this is gross, but you keep burping. Like,
no, you're not gonna have that with the Ritual ones at all. And you know what else is really interesting that I just found out? 97% of women between the ages of 19 and 50 are not getting enough vitamin D from their diet. And I know I'm one of them. So if you feel kind of tired sometimes, you just don't feel great and you don't know why because you seem healthy otherwise, you could be, you're likely, 97% of us are, very deficient in vitamin D. And so you're going to be amazed at how you feel when you start taking a Ritual multivitamin every single day. And you can get 10% off your first 3 months when you go to ritual.com/fitish and turn your healthy habits into a ritual. 10% off at ritual, ritual.com/fitish. The one
and if you're still deficient on your vitamin D, I have one. I can give you some more of that.
I mean, do we want to be honest about our first like sexual experience? Because like it didn't go very well. And it was like very painful for me and like it had to be miserable for you. I mean, you're so worried that I'm enjoying sex all the time. And I was like, baby, it's okay.
That's my main worry when we're having sex.
It's so like, I don't not enjoy it, but sometimes like, I don't know. You asked me that and I'm like, you don't want me to lie. Like, no, I wasn't really enjoying it. Like I found it to be very painful actually. And then I was Googling after, like, since I didn't push this baby out my vagina, I thought that maybe sex would be like easy, right? Like it's no big deal once you've kind of healed.
I'm pretty sure I saw your vagina inside out also. So yeah,
that's
is
nice.
beautiful. It was beautiful, very tight.
But I didn't know that it was gonna be just ignore him. I didn't know that it was going to hurt. And so I was Googling after, and a lot of women have told me when you're still breastfeeding, the body's a weird thing because when you're still breastfeeding, your estrogen levels plummet. It makes you very like dry all the way through. And it's not my incision that hurts anymore, but yeah, it was just uncomfortable. It just didn't feel good. I was like, oh gosh, it's going to take time, huh? So when I Googled it, and I'm back in all these postpartum message boards now, all the women are like, oh my gosh. Yeah. I mean, you're lucky I even wanted to, because a lot of women are like, I didn't feel like having sex for like 18 months after having a baby. And I actually have the desire, hormonally, like I have the desire, but yeah, it was like painful, which sucks. It was like the first time all over again. So hopefully that's going to improve.
Yeah. Well, we'll figure it out. We'll find better ways.
Don't know what better ways. Different positions.
Maybe.
I realized that like I can't. We were joking that we need to order more lube, and I was like, your mom opens everything that comes through Amazon. Since his mom's still with us, she opens every order that we get from Amazon, which is great. Like, I don't mind. I don't care. Like, some people want to open their own mail. Like, I don't care, but she'll open everything. She puts it away. She'll go wash stuff. She finds, people leave baby gifts. She goes and does the laundry. His mom's just above and beyond amazing. But I kind of thought to myself, I can't order lube on Amazon because she knows everything that comes through Amazon these days is for Remy. She's going to open it up. And if it's a very specific, like just for lube and not just coconut oil, that could be for like body care. She's going to know exactly, which I know we're almost 40 years old, but it's still funny. Like, I don't want your mom.
Well, do you remember that time in Mexico that we went for a coconut oil run, and my mom of course, I'm pretty sure that she didn't know what we were using it for. Now she knows.
Which is great. Coconut oil can stay on the nightstand because no one knows. I mean, you can put it on your hair, skin, nails, body, stomach, whatever, wherever you want to put it. And so Fran goes to the store one morning and it's sitting on the nightstand. And we're in the kitchen that morning eating breakfast in his parents' house. And all of a sudden his dad takes out, it looks like a can of paint. Bucket. It's a bucket of the same brand of coconut oil that he's like, takes it out. Fran and I almost spit out my coffee. So we didn't know that they had it in the house, but he was obviously using it like in his morning smoothie or something. But they had like a bucket in the pantry of coconut oil.
He didn't want my fingers.
His mom's like, why'd you buy coconut oil? I'm like, well, we like to keep the coconut oil separate for different purposes. Like, I don't do the kitchen coconut oil. Like,
just in case of emergencies, you use it, but it's just very emergency based.
All right, this is all too much. So,
and that's why we didn't become a priest.
I don't think it's going to be shocking to people when they hear this story. So we'll get into it in just a second. But I want some feedback from something, a dilemma we had with childcare. So we still haven't really landed on a daytime person. And, for a lot of reasons, Fran's mom's been here. We had someone in mind and we liked her, but Fran's mom was going to stay for a while. So we didn't want to hold her from having another job. And then, and she was not happy about that. So, but we've learned we have to own this. Like, we're figuring out as first time parents, we're not going to monopolize someone's time. We didn't really know exactly what we were looking for. So now we kind of decided, that we wanted someone to help us during the day. Definitely Spanish speaking, primarily. Like that was their first language. That's important to us, but also some experience and a good vibe, right? Like, you just don't know. It's so hard to interview a girl or a woman and know that she's going to be with you for the rest of your life. I mean, I don't even know that about Fran now, and I've had a baby with him. Like, how do you know that like a girl's going to be with you?
Understandable.
I know, right? Like, I don't even know if I'm going to be with you for the rest of my life.
No, but I think we want something really easy. Like, we're looking for someone that is just nice, speaks Spanish and English, that she can play
really
with our
engaged.
kids.
Yeah, I think that's the thing, right? Like, you want someone
Montessori certified, another 3 languages.
He's kidding.
She needs to be a little cute just because we wanted her to be part of the family and to take pictures. Like, she just wanted.
That is not true. No, don't listen to him. None of these things are true. And if she's too cute, not happening. Like, that's absolutely not happening.
Not too cute. Like, I'm just talking like something that looks good in pictures.
No, we don't care. He's kidding. We don't care about any of that. We actually interviewed a girl we liked the other day. And I mean, I like to tell this story and be honest because I think she made a big mistake. And I'm interested to see what people think about it because we liked her and we were going to give her a chance. So, and Fran's mom was there, which was great. So we interview her. She's looking for a different job because the one she has right now is a nanny. It's like they're having her work like 12 hours a day. And we obviously don't need that much help. And so she was just looking for something a little less intense so she could still do some school on the weekends and in the evenings. And so we liked her and we were going to give her a chance. So we offered and I'm still learning. I mean, I didn't even negotiate. She asked for a certain amount of pay and I didn't like undercut it, low ball it, whatever. Yeah. I just said, okay, because it was reasonable. And she could start in a couple of weeks. And so we thought that we were like,
everything works perfect. She was great.
So this is what she responded.
Look good in pictures.
And this is how she responded. She said, and I think that it was not the right move. And so I'm interested to see if y'all think that we're like being bratty or what. But she said, she was very nice. I mean, this isn't anything bad, but she said, she was too honest. She said, thank you so much. She said, in all honesty, I interviewed with another family this morning and I'd like a day to consider both offers. I just didn't like it. I didn't like it because I know it's a job to her, but I think as new parents, we want someone that, she met Remy, she met us. Like, we want someone that's like, yes, Jenna and Fran are fucking awesome. Like, I want to work with Remy. I want to work with Jenna and Fran. And it's not like I undercut her a lot. Like, I offered her what she was asking for in pay, because I would understand that. Like, if someone offered her more money, then that would make sense. But if she's just considering two different
sound
families,
like a bidding war. Like,
sure.
we were like, and
so I told Fran to tell his mom exactly, because certain things don't translate as well. So I was like, tell your mom this. Let's talk about it. So like an hour or two goes by and we talked it over. Fran's mom comes up in the bedroom and goes, I don't like this. I do not like. And I was like, I don't like it either. Good. I thought I was just being crazy. She goes, I don't like it. She goes, it's not like you we're just obsessed. And so we talked about it for a minute and I go, I think I'm just going to make the decision easy for her and take ours off the table. And that's what I did. So I responded to her and I was like, it was so great meeting you. I understand your situation. However, it's like, we've talked it over and I think we've decided we're going to keep looking for the right fit for our family. It's really important to us that someone's, super excited to work with our family, and we don't want to feel like we're in competition with another family right now. And of course, she was very gracious. She was like, I'm so sorry. I did not mean it to be that way. But the point of this whole story is, whether you feel that Fran and I are right in that decision or not, it made us feel like it wasn't a good fit, right? And it made us feel like even if she liked us, that she would leave us for, a better offer. And I think we all know, we said to each other, like, when you interview for a job, right, you do not tell the employer that offered you a job, I got another offer, I need some time to consider it. You just say, I need to run the numbers. Thanks so much. I'm working right now. I'll get back to you in the morning. You come up with a reason to buy yourself some time to think it over. You don't tell them that you're entertaining another offer. And that's for a job, which isn't nearly as emotional as a nanny.
But for sure, I think, even let's say in the job, if you're looking for a accounting job, and if that's your strategy to get more money, that's great. But this is a really, she's going to become an employee,
a part of our family.
However, we're interviewing someone that we want to become part of our family. So it's not about the money. It's not about anything. It's someone that see the same potential that we see on her, that she sees on us. And when we understand that money is very important, but we want someone that can get to become family.
Right.
So I know you're out there.
You put a lot of pressure on it, and that's what concerns me, because I know that that's the goal. And you always say, like, we want this forever person, but I don't know if that's true, because you don't know until you actually, again, even with her, we wouldn't have known. We need them to come join us for a couple of weeks too, because you still don't know, right?
The thing is that we are spoiled by my mom and your mom.
Fran, you're not motivated to find, like, I'm frustrated because I'm the one on Facebook fucking babysitter groups trying to message with people.
I have two lined up. One for Thursday, one for Friday.
You complain about people, but you have no, and I understand, but you have no motivation to put in effort, because you want to hold your mom here hostage. Your mom needs to go back to Mexico City. Her nails are grown out. She wants to go get her hair done. I'm taking her to get her hair done on Thursday. Your dad is still there. He had to get out of here. He was over it. Like, you're holding her hostage here. She's been here for almost 2 months. You're not inclined to hire someone right now. You're going to find flaws with everything, and then you're going to bitch about them, and then you're not going to set up interviews. I have to work too. I've been setting interviews with people. And what?
Like, she's still here.
You want her to stay here through the holidays. Like, she has to go home.
Well,
and we want her here when we hire someone.
Say that we will send her back with Christmas gifts.
He is going to keep his poor mom here the whole year, and she'll do it because that's what moms are, right? Like, if I get it now, but like, if my baby son asked me to stay with him for 6 months, I bet there's no way I could turn myself away, but it's not reasonable and it's selfish.
And I already took her car away.
He took a car away. He parked it in a garage because the impending hail. And so this morning, she's in her pajamas feeding Remy. And so when I leave, I was like, if you need anything, let me know. If you want to go running errands, I'll be home at 3:00 this afternoon. She goes, I don't have a car. Francisco
She has an ankle bracelet also.
Stop it. Your poor mom. Your poor mom is going to need therapy after staying with us. I'm going to set her up with BetterHelp. I'm sure they have some counselors there that speak Spanish. That's my hope. I'm
so.
going to need therapy after we revisit your priest story here in a minute as well. But hey, maybe we might need some intimacy coaching.
Yes,
we might.
Sure.
Hey, who knows what? But the cool thing about BetterHelp, the podcast is sponsored by BetterHelp Online Therapy, but therapy sometimes I think people get it misconstrued. It's I'm not depressed, I don't need therapy. Well, no, I mean, it's not just for that. That's a very valid reason to seek help, but therapy can be all sorts of things. You could be in a really good place in your life and just, need some professional life coaching, right? You want to help making a business decision because you have two different families offering you a nanny position and you just can't figure out what the right one is. Maybe you need some life coaching, or maybe your son is tormenting you and you don't feel like a good mom. And you need some help. Or like Fran and I, we like to do couples counseling every now and then. So you don't have to just be feeling down and out, super depressed. But if you're high stress, maybe your temper's shorter than usual, you're starting to feel strain in any of your relationships, whether they're romantic or just friendships in general, you can unload the stressors and get some really unbiased feedback from professionals. When you go to betterhelp.com, customize online therapy that offers video, phone, and even live chat sessions with your therapist. So you don't have to see anyone on camera if you don't want to. It can be a very vulnerable thing, speaking to someone about your problems. You can actually get 10% off your first month when you go to betterhelp.com/fiddish. That's betterhelp.com/fiddish. I'd recommend this. Check it out. I think you're going to be pretty surprised at what you gain from it. betterhelp.com/fiddish.
I think it's very important to prevent. Sometimes you don't have to be in a crisis, but if you talk to someone, you can prevent a crisis before it happens.
What crisis led you to the Lord? To the church?
No, I think there was more like crisis led me out of the Lord.
Yeah, so I know it's I told you when you told the story, there's a lot to it, I'm sure. So I think people are just very fascinated because people that know you or know you by listening to you now over time and that we're in this relationship, when I tell people just kind of the kicker, like Fran had 9 lives and at one point he was going to be a priest. People are like, what? He was going to be a priest? Yeah. I was like, yeah, you were on a journey. So tell us how old you were and what led to this.
In a nutshell, because it's a long story. I was
a small nutshell. Like I would talk about what led you to your journey in Mexico to get you
Texas pecan.
Okay, shell. Texas pecan shell. Yeah.
So, teenage Francisco was a mess, like a huge mess. Like he was partying very early on, having entrepreneurial businesses that
consisted of, you told me, like Fran, for instance, was 13 years old and hanging out with 18-year-olds and selling tickets to raves and, taking money at the door. So that's where you were at, right? Around that age.
More like that. Raves, it's a little too much, but we were making parties at our house. Yep. My parents used to travel a lot. So, and going out, hanging out with the wrong people. And it sounds very cliche but I met this group of friends. And one of them is actually my sister's husband. And they like great people, like very dynamic, very fun, not like fanatics or anything. And they invited me to start doing this thing called encounters. So it's once a week you go talk about the Bible a little bit and more make it like live chat, like a live talk. And at the beginning I was like, I don't know, this is not for me, this is too weird. And then they invited me to start organizing events. And that's when I think I started thriving. Like we started organizing missions. And it was great to see that grow, like starting with like a couple, less than 100 people and go all the way to thousands of people throughout 7 years, and seeing people's changes, seeing like you think you go to help people, but the reality is that you go and you're helped by these people that you're thinking you're helping. So in a very contemplative stage throughout those 7-10 years, I was like, well, if this whole heaven thing, it's real, and I'm very pragmatic on my way of thought and my way of thinking, is like, I'm going to just invest all my chips to this heaven thing. Because if I'm going to live, let's say 60, 80 years.
Yeah.
60, I was 60 because with my lifestyle, 60 was like the tops. But right now I'm doing a little better. So I'm thinking I'm 70, 80. I'm going to just give it all to the Lord. Like, I'm just going to put all my chips there. So the first time I talked to my spiritual advisor, he was like, he pretty much laughed. He's like, he thought I was joking. He's like, Francisco, I much rather lose your vocation than you going to Rome and help 30 souls lose their vocation.
He thought that you would like detract from people's commitment.
Yes.
You're like, no, look at what the fun there is out there.
Yeah, it's like, so he's like, you're going to do this step, this step, this step.
Well, how many steps is it from where you were to be able to go to Rome? I mean, you were far. We say he was going to become a priest, but you were, years away.
Really, 14 years away.
Got it.
So, because I was with the Legionaries of Christ, and they take these.
Are they the ones that wear the like hemp robes?
No, those are the Franciscans.
The Franciscans.
No, the Legionaries of Christ are the ones that are the classiest of them all.
What does that mean?
Like they wear like really nice suits with the white thingy here.
Yeah.
And
the white thingy,
the neck razor. And
are you sure you know this was a real story? The white thingy.
Well, the things I know that name in Spanish, okay? I don't know everything. I'm not bilingual 100%.
Okay,
so
that's fair.
So the priest said, okay, Francisco, if you're serious, I want you to follow these next steps throughout a year. And if you come back in a year and you tell me that you still want to do this, I'll send you to candidacy to Rome.
Wow.
So I'm very diligent when I want something.
Yeah.
So I did all of it. Like, I went to this retreat, silence retreat. I start doing silent retreat, 10-day silent retreat every year, which I still adore. Like, I still can do it.
Could we have one of those at home?
Impossible with you.
With us. But was there abstinence involved in this one year?
Obviously. No. There was abstinence, like no sex.
No self-pleasure.
There was some self-pleasure, but I had to confess every time, you know? It's like, sometimes you have to follow the rule. Like, it's better ask for forgiveness than for permission. So we went through that. Year comes. We were in a mission. We were in missions, doing missions in Holy Week. And I told the priest, I told my spiritual director, it's like, I think I'm ready. Like, okay, I'm going to send you to Rome to test drive it. And I was there throughout the holidays, like.
In your faith, can I ask you a question and jump in? Because you're doing a great job of telling the story, but did your faith, and that's, I think, a deeper level of what's interesting kind of about art. Like you're, we're not, I don't think it's any secret, we're not super religious people. Fran's definitely, I'm spiritual. He's more so than I am. We're not, church going people, but did your faith at the time grow, right? Like, I'm assuming, Mexican culture, obviously you're Catholic. I mean, you grew up.
Catholic.
You grew up Catholic. Did your faith waver? Did it get greater in that period of time, I'm assuming? Or how did you really, truly feel?
So my faith since the start, since I was a teenage kid, and I felt that this guided me to the right direction, it grew a lot. Like, it grew to the point that I could help people find their faith. So I was going to missions to do that, to help in many ways, like construction, everything. But I was really good at that because I was truly
you're a good salesperson,
embedded with my faith. Like, I was like,
well, it's easy to sell something you believe in.
And so that's why we took that direction, because it's like, that's where I want to go. I want to keep helping people solely. I want to be there. I want to be a disciple. I want to be like in the trenches. So
you got to Rome.
I got to Rome. I was doing all that. I was like, it was great. And
what was that experience like when you got to Rome? I mean, you weren't
amazing.
like in the Vatican.
No, I wasn't in the Vatican, but I was like in the seminar. We were in a side of the seminar in the Legionaries.
So you get nominated to go do this. So people from around the world that are kind of in your position can be nominated.
Yeah, no, they
to be
asked
sent
for
over to
it.
there. And there's dormitories that you all live in?
Yeah, dormitories,
or?
yeah. So there are dormitories and you live more or less the lifestyle. And you wake up every morning really early. You do your prayers and meditation for an hour, mass, breakfast, and you follow all these.
Where did the ranch water come in?
The ranch water wasn't coming in.
You didn't drink?
No, you drink like a glass of wine at dinner, let's say. Like
really?
Some dinners, not all dinners. Like let's say it was a Friday, you had a glass of wine. Like, yeah, for sure. Like, but you never, ever got like shed-faced that they know of. So it was one of the most amazing experiences I've ever had.
What kind of things did you see?
Well, I saw. It's just spirituality doesn't have to be Catholic. It doesn't have to be a God. It doesn't have to. But it was just a very powerful. It's very powerful when you see so many people going towards the same thing and something that is so pure in its core.
Yeah.
People, it's something pure in its core, but it's still managed by people, and of course it has politics and shit that diverts you from.
I mean, did at some point, was there something there that made you disillusioned to it, or?
Not at that point. At that point, I think when you're in that stage, you have a lot of eyes on you. You have a lot of people that are constantly looking, because it's a journey that is not an easy journey, especially if you're doing it with the Legionaries. It's a journey that could last 10 to 14 years. So they want to make sure that you are fully prepared, because they don't want to drop you off 9 years into it with no life experience, with philosophy, with theology, with all these, like maybe an English major, and you jump back into the world with like starting from zero. So they want to make sure that you're there. So by the end of this journey, the spiritual director said, like, I think you're such a great soul. You're a great person. We don't like the way that you look at the nuns. No. They just said, like, you will do much better in the outside world.
You'll be a better spokesperson for the church, spreading the message as a regular human.
One of the reasons I thought it was.
Did that hurt
you? They were right. No.
You were done.
I was like relieved. I was like,
because it was difficult.
It was, of course, it was challenging. Like, it was difficult just because it starts in that time period. In that period of time, you start realizing all that you're really giving up.
Yeah, the sacrifices forever.
And I was willing, and I think I was willing to do it. But when I didn't have to do it, I was like, I can tell God that I tried, fully tried, and they told me I couldn't. So I went home like relief. Like, I was like, oh my God. That's awesome.
So then what were you going to do when you got home? You just knew you weren't going to be a priest anymore, but were you still going to...
I went back home. I was still very diligent, like with missions, helping the church in every way. I knew that was something I was good at, like trying to make activations, trying to make fundraising events, help. We had actually events here in Dallas called Angel for a Day. So we invite unprivileged kids, and we bring like entertainment for them and a lot of gifts and stuff like that. And the solution with the Catholic Church comes in a different podcast because that's a different subject.
Yeah, because obviously there came a time that you felt a little more removed, or you just weren't.
But it was nothing to do with being in Rome.
It wasn't Rome.
My experience in Rome, my experience with everybody there was great. Of course, afterwards you came to find out about a lot of politics and a lot of hypocrisy that happens.
And why do you think that is? Because it's a business? Because the Catholic Church is really
run by
the
humans.
richest. Yeah,
right. And humans are flawed. And actually, one of the biggest dissolutions gave me the biggest hope as a person. And that sounds horrible, but one of the biggest dissolutions that I had with the church when I found out that someone that was very dear to me and close and an absolute inspiration, we find out that he was very flooded. It's like someone that was able to build this, we don't call it congregation, but build the
a massive, huge
legion
following,
universities, schools, all these good that they're doing around the world. He can be so flawed.
How so? He had
another family or two, but
and I think isn't that what's interesting?
That made me feel like if that person was so flawed and was able to do so much good, a normal human that is flawed in many ways can still.
I think that's the problem with a lot of religion when it's very strict at that level, right? It's unrealistic. We're human, right? We're kind of animalistic tendencies. Like it's a natural human desire to want to have sex. There's one thing in being, very gluttonous about everything in life, but with everything, with money, with sex, with vices. But I think that's what makes it so unattainable, right? To devote yourself to this higher power that sometimes seems very fictional. I think that's what's very difficult, right? Because there's nothing tangible about that. Like you just have to blindly believe in something and then also kind of forego things that are natural. And so I think if, people at that stature were allowed to have families and, we're like, you are allowed to have intercourse and you are allowed to have a glass of wine, but you're just still a very good person instead of kind of masking. I think that's what would be tough, right? Because a lot of people are still doing those 100%. Things and then they're just asking for forgiveness and that's hard, right?
And I think there is, of course, greatness in everybody and darkness also. And you need just to learn how to control them both. The whole dissolution and the whole dogmatic thing, it's a conversation for a different podcast for sure. But
well, I think you did a great job of telling that story. I'm sure people are going to have questions for you. So then you're going to have to answer them because I can't answer on behalf of you. I found it very interesting though when Fran and I first met and told me that because I go, look, I'm not like anti-religion by any means, but I went to Catholic school. I've had my own, I think everyone reaches their own kind of journey on why they believe in things and why they don't. I found Fran's story so interesting when we first started dating because I knew that I wouldn't be able to settle down with someone that was very like fervently religious since I'm, just more spiritual now. And so it was really interesting to hear all about that experience and all the great parts of it that you had. And then also kind of learning, I think when that, that illusion, that of like a lot of miracles kind of gets removed, then you're more realistic about it. But I think the cool part is that for religion here and a lot of church practices here are so, you go to church and you repent, for things that you did that are natural or, not terrible, or some of the most judgmental people I've ever met are like the most highly religious people that I know.
Hypocrites.
And that was very frustrating for me. I was like, just be a good person. Like believe, one of my best girlfriends is very religious.
Just stay in your fucking lane.
Yeah. And I'm like, hey, if that is what makes you be a good person, that's great, whatever guides you. But I think for you, it was kind of about the, improving the communities, right? Like all the trips that you did.
Absolutely. And I think so, you just brushed into something when you said miracles. Like, listen, there's so much that we do not know. There is so much that there is science, there is this, there is that. I do not think that the miracles could happen.
Yeah.
I think our baby is an amazing miracle.
And I don't consider our baby a miracle because it's science to me. You know what I mean? Like I know exactly how that baby was created.
But to the molecular portion, there is a lot of things that are unknown. Like we know how to control what we have, but we don't know how to make it. So there's a lot of room there.
I think Fran needs to do a live at some point on his Instagram, and you can ask him all the questions about Rome and the church and his journey. I hate to say failed because I think it was a success because
100%
it wasn't failed because we never would have been together. I never would have met Francisco if you stayed in Rome and did all of that. So I think it's great.
I take it and I took it 100% as a success. I took the journey I needed to take.
Well, more on that later. Always reach out to Fran on his social because I won't be able to answer those questions for him. And I'm usually the one behind the info@Fittish email, or I can forward them to him.
No, you can DM me if you have any questions.
Really fascinating, though. So we're going to transition into another sponsor of today's Fittish podcast, Prose Hair Care, which your mom has great hair. You have great hair. I mean,
great-ish.
You could use a little Prose.
Yeah, no, I know. I'm starting to feel that I'm starting to thin it.
Well, Prose is for you. So let me hook you up with this because this is customized hair care. They're actually you're going to take a little quiz. Okay. They're going to analyze over 85 personal factors so Prose can determine a unique blend of ingredients to treat your exact concerns. So of course your concerns would be different than mine. You know, if I have some postpartum hair loss or just breakage, right? And dryness, that tends to happen to me. If you're, have some hair thinning, that's a totally different, we're going to have different formulas for ourselves. But especially with weather changes or if you've moved recently, so many things contribute to your hair issues. And Prose is 100% positive that they're going to be the best hair care you've ever had. So much so, they will take back your products if you're unhappy. No questions asked. Prose is the healthy hair regimen with your name all over it. Take your free in-depth hair consultation. Get 15% off your first order today when you go to prose.com/Fittish. That's prose.com/Fittish for your free in-depth hair consultation and that 15% off, which is great. So for the last part of the show, we always ask you to give us some questions. So
do we have anything good?
Well, Rita wants to know where I get my lip filler. I was like, first of all, I haven't done this in a very long time. I actually wanted to go get Botox. Like that's something I was most looking forward to doing is just like, I haven't had anything done in a very long time through pregnancy and all of that. And I really wanted to go get some work done, but everyone keeps telling me I'm not allowed. Except I've read that you can get it done. But when I called my dermatologist, I was like, can I come get some Botox? Like I haven't had anything done in I don't know at this point, over a year.
Babe, you look amazing.
And they go, are you breastfeeding? I'm like, yeah. Nope. They won't do it till I'm not breastfeeding. I'm like, I don't even know if I want to breastfeed anymore. So she pulled
Remy out of a boob. I'm not breastfeeding anymore. What about now?
I know. I mean, you read a lot of mixed stuff like that, getting Botox because it does go into your bloodstream, but it's usually pretty isolated. So the boob's probably fine. But then again, you feel terrible. You're like, wait, I can't risk that. You don't want to do anything to risk it. So maybe a laser treatment. You can go get that done. So anyway, I appreciate it. I go to McGinnis Dermatology for everything. I haven't gotten anything done in a very long time. So I appreciate that. But
me neither. Look at me.
That's where I go. Yeah, actually, if you go and you drop my name, they'll give you 15% off anything you want to get done. And they have a bunch of locations. So I love that. But let's see what else we have. Anything good? Did y'all decide to do a trust for your baby? And then her question goes on and on kind of long, but we're
working on that for sure.
We're working on it. Yeah.
Yeah, no. So we
need to do something for him, huh?
Yeah. We're looking for the best financial way to do a trust because you have to be very mindful about scholarships and stuff.
I'm not the expert on that. I defer to my tax accountant, financial advisor.
That's good.
I can't be trusted.
With the trust?
I can't be trusted with the trust, which is funny, but a lot of people are still complimenting tips to extend my maternity leave. Shelby, I have no idea. I mean, I'm spoiled. I'm spoiled here because I'm just kind of going with the flow. I don't even know what your maternity leave is. I am glad that I'm able to kind of.
What type of tips? Make out like you have hemorrhoids or something like that.
No. Yeah.
Well, you are now that you have that mastitis.
Yeah, tips to extend it. I don't know, because you need to understand something here. I come from the place of an employer right now. So yeah, I'm in a situation where I definitely have empathy and I respect it. I would say that I, at a bare minimum, would have needed, at least, 4 to 6 weeks. I mean, I started working again on week 5, maybe week 4 doing the podcast. I only took a few weeks off, but again, that's not a full like 9 to 5 job. So, but then again, I have to speak to the
Let me
part
see the question.
of being an employer, because we need employees. So it's great when you work at a huge company and they give you a bunch of paid time off. But I think about that from my perspective, like I can't afford to not work, and I can't afford to have people that don't
Something
work.
tells me that's Danny's fake account.
Danny's fake account.
She's already fishing for tips.
No, I have maternity leave in a employee agreement.
Oh,
so
that's
what they
good.
get paid, and if they want to take a bunch more unpaid.
Like a week?
I mean, you have to do that. Actually, you know what's interesting, when you are a small business owner, you don't have to give them maternity leave at all. Now, I would never do that as a female with females that work for me, and having just had a baby, I would never do that because I want to be like more feminist there. But I can't afford to, give, some law firms give like 5 months of paid maternity leave. I mean, I'm not that big of a company. I can't go without.
When you make $3,000 an hour.
Yeah, that's true. What is a great thing about motherhood that surprised you? It's a good question. I've thought about this lately. I'm starting to get more patient a little bit, with him, and really enjoy the moment, where I think a lot of time is spent like on our phones, and I can't be on my phone when I'm breastfeeding him or bottle feeding him. And yeah, you definitely have moments that you want to get to that email, or you want to answer that phone call, or you want to finish a television show, whatever it is. I've always lived my life in this sense of urgency, and I just take a deep breath and I sit there and I enjoy the moment. And I found it to be really nice, almost so much so that I go, there's nowhere else I'd rather be. And it's kind of an amazing feeling, and it's getting better. At first, I've been honest with y'all, I didn't feel this immediate sense of like love. I mean, I was thrilled. I thought it was amazing that I had a baby and I loved him, but I didn't feel what I'm feeling now, that I can just sit there and kind of look at him for half an hour as I feed him. And yeah, there's work, there's shit that I need to do and need to get to. That's why I'm up here today doing stuff. But when I get home and I can just sit with him, yeah, I mean, it can be a little bit boring, but those moments for me are so nice. Just kind of holding him, letting him sleep, or feeding him, looking at him. I really enjoy these. It's kind of always what I've wanted, because I've always been bad at meditation, when you're supposed to like go on a walk and like meditation. Look outside. But I can kind of sit there and look at him and not think about anything else other than like what we created and what my body did and everything I've been through, and just kind of look at him. And I don't think about anything else. It's like the only time I've ever just not been distracted by all this other noise. We're going through stressful life stuff. And, I said, there's stressful stuff that's gone on, or when business is rough. And you and I had a day the other day, and we kind of said this to each other, that, in the past you would have a real, like, let's say you had a shitty day at work, or you had some drama going on. We would come home, you and I would open a bottle of wine, and we would probably spend the night, talking about it, or at least kind of, giving each other advice. And now what I find is happening, we still have moments of that, but it's so much less attention given to that bullshit. Like we were talking about something the other day, right? And the second we walked in the door, we talked about it for like a 5 or 10 minute car ride. And instead of coming home and talking about it for the rest of the night, we came inside, we got Remy, we went upstairs, we ate, and we just talked about Remy and looked at him. And how amazing is that? It's almost like a stress reliever. And then you realize what matters in life is not some of the other stuff that used to matter more.
So I think that's one of the biggest lessons he has gave me, just to stay present. And it was funny because I normally not on my phone when I'm with him, but I had him, and I received a text message from a client, and my clients are my second priority. So I grabbed him, and I grabbed the bottle like this, and I grabbed the phone, and my mom came in to the room, and he saw me, and is like, every second that you spend with that phone and not paying attention to your kid is a second you're going to regret in the future.
I know.
So that stayed with me. So now I just ask her to read me the messages.
Shut up. Let's see, what else? Have you thought about what you'll be doing with Remy's clothes he outgrows? Man, I mean, I want to film a TikTok that's like, I wanted to wear this, but it doesn't fit. They do. They grow so much. Everyone tells you that. So I'm sure most of y'all thought, as I did, that I would be the typical, like, can't wait to put him in really cute outfits and take pictures. And I just haven't, it just hasn't been my style because he's so comfy in his little onesies that, at first it's about practicality. You don't want anything that doesn't zip off easily, or snap, right? Or as the magnet ones.
Zippers and magnets.
But now, now that he's only shitting once a day, if that, which I didn't know that happened at some point. That's nice. I mean, you still have to change diapers a lot, but now that's kind of cut back for now. I, on a Saturday, I guess I'll put him in something kind of cute, but I still just like those kite onesies. I mean, I've ordered some cute, Zara and H&M and Gap have really cute baby clothes, not in the store, online on the app. So I've gotten some cute stuff.
To answer your question, we're going to be having a live auctions every week. The items that still smell like him are going to go for a higher value. The ones that already have lost the smell are going to be for lower value. So
I'm keeping
someone has to pay for the nanny.
Unless they're stained, I'm keeping them because so much of the stuff I've gotten is pretty gender neutral looking anyway in terms of colors. My color palette, it's not super little boy looking.
Oh, you're still thinking of having another kid?
Sure, right now. I haven't been taking the birth control.
Should we tell Garrett to go elsewhere? Turn the camera off?
Want another?
But if I do want another, I just want to keep enjoying this one for a little bit.
I'm not trying to have another today, but like I'm just like saying that I'd like another. Like it's freaking you out already. Maybe not for a couple of years, but I was only child. I want another.
Sounds good.
If I'm able to get pregnant. I don't know if I want to have to do the IVF again if I don't have to, and if we love just him. Fran doesn't think he can love another child as much as he loves Remy, and I'm like, look at your mom.
I mean, I know that she loves him more than she loves anybody.
Loves your sister more. She told me.
She says that because she has to.
No, she talks to her all day, every day. I think she does love her more. You hold her hostage here, so she tells you whatever you want to hear, but she loves Luli more.
Let's see whenever she goes back. No, with that piece of information.
All right, let's end on that today, because now you're going to be upset. Just pray about it. Just pray about it.
Fuck you.
DM, that's great. That was nice. Like the Lord loved listening to that. The DM Fran, if you have any questions about his religious journey, because I can't answer those, DM me or really just shoot me a message to info@fitish.com. Anything that you'd like to hear on the podcast. I have a lot more messages that I got on social media for today, so I can get to those next week if you're still submitting some of those questions.
Yeah, if you have any questions or anything or any help with your journey, go to your spiritual advisor. But if you have any question, ask me for anything.
Awesome. Sure. Thank you. All right. Well, that's great. Thanks a lot. Thank you, Talent, for your time today.
Anytime. Next time, please have my egg bites, coffee ready.
Happy to if you get here on time. I'm happy to. You get here on time and I'll start getting you breakfast because I can go get it that much earlier and still be early to the show.
Right.
Don't challenge me. I used to get up at 3:30 and be on time for a morning show every day for 13 years. There's one thing about me. I am usually always on time. Remy has gotten in the way of that a little bit for now, but for the most part, I'm always on time.
The great thing is that now we have that excuse, but...
That's true. We got to ride that excuse for a while. Yeah. Awesome. All right. Well, we'll see y'all next week.
Love y'all.